I'm the Awkward GM Corbin, and today we're going to talk about the Storyteller's Vault supplement for Beast the Primordial called Primordial Peerage. I'd like to thank the creators of Primordial Peerage for sponsoring this video, as well as providing me a copy to look over. So this book is a community content project that was created by a few freelancers who are also fans of Beast the Primordial and created a bunch of different characters for the game itself. Now, these are templates that can be used both by storytellers and players, and it's pretty interesting. It's akin to what I think are called night horror books, which I haven't read myself. I've only sort of like skimmed a few of them, but the concept for this book is pretty interesting. You have about 12 different creature templates and types. Some of them are like mortal templates, where others are sort of mixing and matching different splats together. There's a new inheritance that is sort of your anti-Dark Mother inheritance for beasts. Additionally, you have some new kinship abilities with the templates. So kinship is a beast mechanic where beasts have like a relationship with other splats and other templates in the game and can take on abilities from that group and get more powerful. They're usually in the form of merits, I believe. In any case, keep going. We have the story hooks for other denizens of the Primordial Dream. So these are the other templates. So you have in the back of the book a bunch of other stuff as well. And I'll go over that as we go through. Now, first to start off, we have chapter 1. It is broken down into 3 chapters and 3 appendices. I'm not sure the differentiation between the different chapters, but it seems like at the very least, this one was more about mortals who are similar to beasts or an offshoot of beasts. So you have the Devourers, who are mortals who have performed a ritual of sacrifice of a beast to become a beast. These people are kind of like your, I would say like, it's very hard to compare them to other splats, but it was like if someone wanted to be a werewolf, they would kill a werewolf and then become a werewolf, that type of thing. Additionally, you have nightmare occultists, who are people who have access to beasts' nightmare abilities. There's also the atavistic shamans, who are the opposite, where instead of using nightmares, they use beasts' atavisms. This is very much akin to sort of like the, I believe they're Nephilim and sort of the stigmatics from Demon the Descent. Those are they would have access to one type of ability that a splat has, and this is something that a lot of other splats have access to things like your ghouls or your wolf-blooded in Werewolf the Forsaken. And then you have the Dark Lords, who are sort of these supernatural mortals who can also have lairs similar to beasts in the Primordial Dreaming. Of these, I really like the Nightmare Occultists. The idea is essentially that you have these mortals who can also cause nightmares to people. Additionally, nightmares can be used in a variety of different ways. At least one of them does damage, which is your teeth falling out. But you can also use them in dreams and things like that, which would be nice for people when they do lucid dreaming into someone else's stuff. So I kind of like them in that regard. Chapter 2, we have the Night Terrors, who are smaller horrors that are native to the Primordial Dreaming. These are sort of like your imps or your hobgoblins, your like little tiny spirits and some such. There is a lot of terminology that gets thrown around, like goetic and things of that nature, in regards to some of these splats, as well, some of these templates. But I really like them in the sense that they are sort of like, they're going to cause some mischief and stuff, but they're not as powerful as a horror. You have the mythophagi, who are ephemeral entities that feed on stories, and they go out into the real world because that's where stories get created and aren't just mirrors of the stories that you see in dreams. And then you have the sorrows, who are kind of like horrors, but they sow the seeds of regret and despair. So instead of like trying to scare you shitless or trying to make you feel powerless, they're just sort of like getting you to get depressed and feel useless and things of that nature. maybe even guilty to an extent. I think my favorite ones are the Night Terrors, just because I really like the idea of having like sort of like a small familiar type character, such as a spirit or a ghost or things of that nature that are assisting you. And they can be recruited, which is nice. I mean, everything can technically be recruited, but they're specifically like designed to be recruitable. Chapter 3, you have your cyber horrors. They are your combination of spirit and technology. They're very similar to Claimed in that way. I'm not sure how much they relate to the Primordial Dreaming as much. Like I like the idea of them because they're sort of like this new thing that comes up. And I have been on a sort of cyber digital monster kick at the moment where I'm thinking of various different entities that are horrific and monstrous, but related to technology. And in any case, I might make a separate video about that in the future, but that's just where my head is. You have the Calibans, who are children of beasts who inherit a beast's hunger. They are sort of your, what do you call, your offspring type characters. There are a bunch of them in a variety of different game lines. For instance, if you go with, I think it's Werewolf the Forsaken, werewolf children usually become wolf-blooded. Don't think there are a few others that definitely exist, but I can't think of the top of my head. Demon the Descent had the Nephilim and the demon-blooded, the fractals and things of that nature, so they had multiple different types of children of beasts. The Dire are sort of undead beasts, because people can die during a devouring, and when they die, instead of going to the underworld, the beast, the horror and them sort of become sin eaters and are taken to a place called the Grave Dream, which is an underworld for dreams. Essentially, if you die in a dream, you're not dying in real life, but if you're a dream entity and you die, you're going to go to the Grave Dream, a very similar mirror of the underworld. There's a lot more information about the Grave Dream, and I'm not going to go into too much about that, but I really like that they've sort of fleshed out this additional space. Now, crones and worms, I have a little bit of a difficult time describing them. Essentially, they are, what if you took the mages from Mage the Awakening, or the Proximi, which are sort of like your mortal template version of a mage, and turn them into beasts. So the crones specifically get access to the nightmares, and the worms specifically get access to the atavisms. But they're kind of like their own separate path from mage paths, in that crones can't use, for instance, mind magic, but they can use life magic, and worms can use mind magic, but they can't use life magic. That's my basic understanding of them. Apologies for not being able to understand it more, because mage rules often get me confused. And there was a video about me being confused about mage rules, but in any case, of these, I really like cyber horrors as a concept, but the ones that sort of stuck in my mind as I know the details from heart are the Dire. Just because that idea of having a dead beast or horror come back to life sort of is very interesting to me. Lastly, we have the Appendices. These are your, what I had mentioned before, the Emancipated Beast. You forsake the Dark Mother and you connect yourself to the Bright Dream. I'm not sure where the Bright Dream comes from. I think it might be coming from the Primordial Beast the Primordial Player's Guide. I might look that up later and put an edit in here. But it was really interesting to me that was brought into this game. This idea that you're not stuck with the Dark Mother and doing stuff like normal beasts. You sort of have this, I would say, antagonistic relationship to beasts. You become something akin to one of the Covenant of Seven from Vampire the Requiem, who are the vampires that hunt vampires, or the pure tribes in Werewolf the Forsaken, who hunt the Forsaken tribes. And then I'm trying to think of some other stuff, like Changeling the Lost has the has the loyalists, but people don't really play loyalists often. And then around the mummy, the curse, you have the antagonistic mummies, who are the ones that forsook the judges in favor of Apep, I think. No, not Apep, but basically they are the corrupted mummies that feed on decay and things of that nature, but they can still remember. Anyway, additionally, you have the kinship interactions, so you have these different abilities that link in with like the Dark Lords, the cyber horrors, and the other things that link back to the beasts. So if you're a beast and you become friends with those beings, you get additional merits and abilities linked to them. Similar to like how if you're a beast and you become friends with a vampire, you get merits that are associated with you get special merits because of your association with vampires. And then you get a bunch of new plot hooks that are all linked to these new character types. Now, these characters are specifically as complex as stuff I've seen for player characters previously. There are a lot more rules in there for playing them. You can play them as storyteller characters, like NPCs, but I would definitely, like, if you want to play one of these characters as a player, there's enough there that you know how to use it for yourself. I myself, if I start playing Chronicles of Darkness again, I might take a few of these and put them in. Going back a little bit, the cyber horrors I would definitely bring into any game. I really like the idea of them. And then you have the Dire, who are the undead beasts that I really like to bring in. Night Terrors as well, and even the Nightmare Cultists would be good for any game, in my opinion. And so there are a bunch of plot hooks if you want to bring it in. And you also get a little bit of their interactions with each other. So like how a Dark Lord might react to seeing a cyber horror, or how those the blights might interact with, say, the Nightmare Cultist people. In any case, so as far as like this product goes, I'm very surprised, honestly. It is akin to stuff that I've seen from None More Dark Publishing, the people that have been doing stuff like Requiem for Rome and a bunch of the additional Bloodlines books for Vampire the Requiem. And it just surprises me because I was never expecting us to get a supplement for Beast. And this is the type of thing of you as a community, because Paradox is not greenlighting new books as far as we know, at least none that have been announced at the time of this recording. Us as a community need to sort of like band together and keep the game alive if that's something we wish to do. If you wish to do that, you can put stuff on Storyteller's Vault. You can make as many supplements as you want. You can make supplements, you can make novels and things of that nature and put them up on Storyteller's Vault. I know there's been some Changeling the Lost stuff that's been going on here, but like Beast the Primordial, the biggest book that we've had from them was after the initial book was the supplement for the player's guide. And this is a very useful like analog to it, or like companion piece to it. So if you like Beast, I highly recommend you checking out this book. I'll have a link down in the description below for a discount code, which should be live. Let me know in the comments below that it works. In any case, thank you so much for watching. Again, please check this out. I enjoy.